The time is now 5:03, and we call this meeting of the Cochise County Board of Adjustment, May 3rd, 2023, meeting to order. First off, I'm going to start with some ground rules. Please turn off all cell phones, at least silence ringers. Please be polite to all other stakeholders. No applause, no booing, no cheering. If you desire to speak, fill out a speaker request form near the door of the room. Submit to planner before the meeting. Note this is not required for docket applicants. Speakers must use microphone to capture comments in the minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. We have a speaker's clock and time limits, 5 minutes for call to public, 10 minutes for applicant statement, 5 minutes for supporters or those opposed, and 5 minutes for applicant rebuttal.
Christine, is there a way we can turn up the volume a little bit?
I forgot my hearing aid, you know.
I'll speak up. Each elected county supervisor appoints one Board of Adjustment member who is a resident of their supervisorial district to serve a 4-year term. A board member service is pro bono. A quorum is 2 commissioners. A majority vote ties a motion. Variance dockets are approved by the board. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the Board of Adjustment may at any time within 30 calendar days of such decision appeal to the Superior Court, and the matter shall be heard in a like manner as appeals from the Court of Justices of the Peace. So at this time, I will call roll call. Clint Brasino, District 1.
Here.
John Pintek, District
Here.
2. Paul Brick, District 3.
Here.
We have quorum. Okay, this is technically a new board. It's the first meeting of 2023, so we need to elect a new chairman and vice chairman. We'll start off with chairman. Do we have any volunteers?
I'll volunteer.
Okay, I have 1 volunteer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Let's have a roll call vote. All those in favor of Paul Brick being the chairman of the Board of Supervisors for 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Board of Adjustment. Oops. At this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Oh, okay. The first thing we got to do is do a vice president.
That's right.
Who would like to be vice president? Clint?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it again.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Clint's the vice president. We'll have a call to the public. Any public wants to speak? You're the applicant, I think. Okay. Hearing none, I guess we can continue on. Are you with the TEP one? Okay. Okay, so we will start the public hearing now, and Christine already went over the rules. You have, well, you have 10 minutes. They have 5 minutes to rebut, and then you have 5 minutes to rebuttal. But first, you should give your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. This is variance docket 2302. The applicant requests an increase in allowable height for a proposed wall in rural zoning district, in which all walls and fences are limited to 8 feet in height. This variance is requested by the applicant to permit the construction of a 12-foot tall masonry wall around an existing electrical switchyard. The 345 kilovolt switchyard and adjacent 230 kilovolt substation together sit on 6.6 acres, and both were constructed in 2003. The subject property is located at 2633 East 3 Lengths Road, Benson, Arizona, at the Winchester substation area. It was incorporated, and unincorporated Cochise were indicated on this slide. This is District 3. Here are some construction details and elevations of the proposed wall and gate openings. It shows a smooth top, no barbed wire, and drainage openings. This would take the place of an existing chain link fence with barbed wire and completely surround the switchyard. There are 8 factors we use to evaluate all variance proposals. These factors are listed on this slide. As I state in my report, the infrastructure within this facility falls under the National Energy Regulatory Commission, which has created critical infrastructure protection standards. The recommended CIP includes installation of a 12-foot tall security wall. This exceeds the zoning allowance by 4 feet. The limitation in section 60402. The need for additional security in the form of a taller wall was not self-created. A 12-foot wall has been determined to be the minimum form of relief because anything shorter is more easily bypassed by buddy lift or standard ladder. It is a permitted use in rural zoning. It is in harmony with the intent and purpose of rural zoning. It would not violate state or federal law. And finally, this will not adversely impact surrounding property owners. While visible from 3 Links Road, it is not visible from any private property. And the addition of a masonry wall could actually reduce glare from the existing metal equipment on site. Here are some site photos. This is a very rural area, and it's within a very large swatch of state land. The nearest neighbor is approximately 3 miles away. In terms of factors in favor of the request, this request is consistent with 7 of the 8 criteria used by staff to determine suitability of variance requests. And based on a TEP assessment, this facility meets the threshold for critical infrastructure protection standards. If this facility were to be damaged or rendered inoperable, widespread instability could result. In terms of factors against the request, this particular hardship is not the result of a peculiar or unusual site condition. But with that, I will pause for discussion, and the applicant is present and has prepared a presentation for the board. He's also available for questions.
Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Okay, I guess
All right.
you have the floor for 10 minutes.
Is this the spot here? Yeah. All right. Testing. And if you, sir, if you could just provide your name and address prior to your presentation, please. Sure. My name is Chris Ortiz-Pino, and I work with Tucson Electric Power, and we are headquartered at 88 East Broadway Boulevard in Tucson, Arizona. So I think she's working on pulling up the presentation. The presentation is actually a bit redundant after Christine, so bear with me through that. I don't have a clicker. Can you just go through it, or it doesn't matter? All right. So I am an environmental and land use planner with Tucson Electric Power, and I've been with the company for about 3 years, just shy of 3 years. We are requesting a variance from Article 6.04.02, maximum wall height in the rural residential 4 zone, and we're requesting a 12-foot perimeter security wall. As Christine also mentioned, this is in compliance with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's order for mandatory reliability standards for critical infrastructure. They charged NERC, the National Energy Regulatory Commission, with implementing these rules. These rules are to be implemented on all critical infrastructure in the bulk electrical system. So FERC and NERC both regulate the grid system in the United States. So there's 3 grid systems: the Eastern Power Grid, the Texas Grid, and the Western Power Grid. And so based on several of those criteria, this switchyard, this 345 kilovolt switchyard, meets those criteria. And so essentially, if you can read it up there, I've already heard it before, but it will protect the transmission substations and transmissions systems, associated primary control centers that if rendered inoperable or damaged as a result of the physical attack could result in widespread instability, uncontrolled separation, and cascading within the interconnection. To explain that a little bit, the interconnection is what ties subregions of the grid together. So the southwestern, I think it's the Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada subregion is what we're connecting. And this 335 kilovolt line brings in power from Catron County, from the Navajo generation stations in New Mexico, and brings it down to the Winchester substation, and then proceeds west to the Vale substation south of Tucson. So this is a major extra high voltage transmission line that, again, if rendered inoperable, could have cascading effects throughout the entire subregion and the grid that connects 14 other states. So, okay, thank you. Next slide is essentially, again, what was seen earlier. It's wall details from the development package. The detail to the top left is basically showing a 12-foot wall with an ultra barrier on top. The ultra barrier is a the metal blades, essentially. They stick up above the wall about 6 inches, and they're in this kind of a pattern, and that is to, again, make climbing and scaling the wall that much more difficult. These are more impactful than razor wire, because with razor wire, once you're at that point, you can snip it and get it away. This is embedded into the concrete grout and will puncture just about anything you throw over it if you're trying to scale it. And then the detail of the gate, we do have perforated gates, so that allows the basically wind to pass through, so they don't act as a sail. These are mechanized gates that will pass through, so they're on a different, they're not gonna, this one, it will allow wind to pass through, so it won't be essentially a sail and knock the wall down. Next slide. So this is a picture of the Patriot substation. This is a newly operable, not operable yet, but newly constructed substation in Tucson, the city of Tucson. This is right near the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. This is from about 55 feet away, and this is a 12-foot wall with ultra barriers. This is more or less what it would look like. And then, so before, can you go back to the last slide? Thank you. One thing I want to draw your attention to is the sticking up from within the wall in the corner is a security camera, and this would also be installed within the substation. It's connected to the TEP map room, and it allows remote sensing, so we can see what is happening in the substation at all times. Next slide. So this is an image of the gate. This would be the exact same gate that would be installed at the Winchester substation. As you can see, it's roughly transparent. It does block view of what's inside, so you can't see exactly what you're looking at. It is a ballistic rated metal, so you could shoot at it, but it's gonna block the majority of what's being shot at it. Next slide. So this is the same substation from about 250 feet away. As you can see, there is still infrastructure poking out over the top. What you're seeing there are static masts, which protect the equipment from any lightning strikes, drop-in structures, and the bus system that connects the transmission line into the switchgear facilities. That is the presentation, and happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Questions?
I don't have any.
I have one out of curiosity more than anything. In your presentation, you noted that most of these, or most other electric co-ops opt for up to 15 feet.
Correct.
Why did you guys only go to 12?
So our internal and physical security team within Tucson Electric Power determined that 12 feet was essentially a compromise, both for cost reasons to construct, as well as with local zoning codes. 15, especially within cities, is an extraordinary height, and to kind of strike that balance with residential characters of neighborhoods and other areas within residential areas or within cities, 12 feet gives us the physical security benefits while also kind of striking that balance both with cost and surrounding character.
Okay. What's the zoning around it? Residential?
For the Winchester substation,
Yeah, on this.
the one in question here, it's rural residential 4 zoning district.
Okay.
It's way out in the boonies.
Huh?
It's way out in the
Are
boonies.
you familiar with it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mhm. It's on a larger parcel. It's a 106-acre parcel leased to us by the Arizona State Land Department, and we have a much larger parcel for future growth. We're looking at the potential for a 500 kilovolt substation adjacent to it. I'm not sure in the development package there's an image of a proposed area as well.
I have a couple of questions, Chris. I used to work for Arizona Electric Power, and then later I worked up and down the river near where the substation is. It is really a secluded, and I don't even think you can see it from the road, from Three Links Road. And what I'm concerned about, even if you have a TV camera, it's going to take a crew an hour and a half to get there from Tucson or more, depending on the highway or the rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wondered, could we give them an option? Are you going to come back later because you're doing construction out there and want to go higher where you have to come before us again to get it raised up? Can we give them, say, 15 feet, up to 15 feet, in case you have to redo it? Because the voltage and everything, anybody getting in there by accident, if anybody could, it's fatal. And anybody getting in not by accident, intentionally, is going to do some serious harm to the whole western grid, like you said, with the cascade effect and everything. So I would think we could give them up to, they're going to get their 12 feet, but if later they don't have to come back and say, can we do this and go through the whole process.
You could, likely that increase would mean a whole new engineered wall other than what they
No,
have
they could add
proposed.
on to the existing wall.
So the wall is an engineered wall, and it is the footing and everything that has been, it's engineered for is for a 12-foot wall. I'm not an engineer. We do have an engineer on the line as well as the project manager in case you have any timing questions or to this matter of a construction engineering question. Physical security at Tucson Electric Power determines the height. It is in compliance with the critical infrastructure regulatory standard for physical security, and is what's been deemed appropriate. So I do not think we would be coming back for additional height. So I think we're okay with 12 feet.
Okay. Like I say, it's really remote.
Yeah.
You have to want to go in the road, Three Links Road, if you've ever been down it. It's
Which road?
awful. Three Links Road.
I'm not familiar with that.
It starts it runs from Cascabel Road, turns into Airport Road at Wilcox.
Oh,
And once you get past like the speedway there where they race the cars, it's all dirt, bad. There's, I
Remote.
think, one ranch along that whole road there, which is 3 miles away. But there's a series of ranches, but they're back
Oh,
off
sure.
the road.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't see anybody to rebut it or support it. Does someone want to make a motion? Do you have a
I'll make-
sample?
I
Make the
do.
motion.
Well,
Mr.
staff does recommend approval, and there is a sample motion
there
on the
it is.
slide for your
Okay.
consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve docket VAR 2302, the TEP wall at the Winchester Switchyard located at 2633 East Three Links Road, granting the variance as requested by the applicant. The factors in favor of approval constituting the finding of fact.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
And this portion of Bisbee, it's beautiful.
We tried to give you an extra 3 feet.
Yeah, you could have had it,
All right, thank you.
because it's definitely not a residential area.
Yeah, it's out there for sure.
Just cows, jackrabbits.
We got one more docket.
Yeah,
Guess I'll.
okay, thank you very much.
Take care.
Okay. Oh, and, well, you'll be sending him the information then, is that it? Yes, Christine will send you the approval and everything that you can take to the other county, permits and everything.
Okay.
So,
Thank you all.
okay, now we have the Chevron sign. Is he on the phone or is that,
Applicant is online.
okay. Okay, you've explained, so
All right,
tell us
well,
about the,
if you're ready, good
Yeah.
evening. This is variance docket 2303. The applicant requests a variance to section 1907.02, permitted signs, RU, GB, LI, and HI districts of the zoning regulations to increase the sign area of 2 existing ground signs. Specifically, the applicant requests increasing the sign area on one side from 328 square feet to 848.71 square feet. That's sign A. And increasing the sign area, the second sign, from 99.19 square feet to 147.54 square feet, sign B. The subject property is located at 1275 East Business Loop, Bowie, APN 302-28004, and unincorporated Cochise County. The signs serve a convenience store with gas pumps. The applicant is Texas Republic Sign, represented by Michael Brad Everett, who's with us online. Just a little history here. These are not new signs. We believe sign A, which is 66 feet and 9 inches tall, was first constructed in 1972 prior to zoning. Between 1972 and 1993, a second 21-foot 3-inch sign was installed on the site along with roof signage. In 1993, all on-site signage was legitimized by 2 Board of Adjustment cases. This request is to add 6 new sign panels on the existing sign frames. I will note this will not increase the overall height of either sign. Here is an elevation for sign A. The existing sign in square footage is shown on the left, and the proposed additional panels are shown on the right. And here is sign B. On the left existing, on the right proposed. There are 8 factors used to evaluate variance requests. It fully complies with 6 factors, partially complies with 1 factor, which is the zoning district purpose, and does not comply with 1 factor, which is minimum degree of relief. As stated in the purpose section of Article 19, signs, these zoning regulations are designed to prevent the overconcentration, improper placement, excessive height, bulk, and area of signs. This request is to allow a total of 1,176.71 square feet of total ground sign area. The majority of the sign face will be allocated to sign A, 848.71 square feet. This amount of signage could be considered excessive and bulky, especially when compared with what is allowed by right. However, overall, because it's of the isolated nature of the parcel and the fact that the sign advertising is directed at the interstate, it can ultimately be considered appropriate. Here are some site photos. Sign A is actually fairly centrally located on the parcel, and sign B is next to the primary entrance of the site. It is surrounded on 3 sides by roadway,
By what?
roads.
roads.
The variance request, in terms of factors in favor of the request, again, it's consistent with 6 of the 8 criteria used by staff. The applicant proposes using existing sign structures which are in place and were legitimized in 1993. He does not propose increasing the height or changing the location of the signs. And finally, our zoning regulations may not adequately consider or provide additional allowances for signs directed towards an interstate, which can place similar parcels in the county at a competitive disadvantage with those compared to those with under city jurisdiction. Both Benson and Wilcox allow signs next to the interstate to be over 600 square feet by right. Again, the county only allows 80. In terms of factors against approving a request, this would not provide the minimum degree of relief, and it's not in full compliance with the zoning district purpose. With that, I'll pause for discussion. Again, the applicant's present online, and both staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions.
Is that, I see the picture, but so there's nothing around it, no residences, no nothing?
It's very isolated.
Bowie is pretty dead.
Oh, that's Bowie, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is at the far east end of Bowie. Business loop is what's this roadway right in front of us here.
Okay.
If this variance is granted, does this open up the, does it open up,
Flood big.
yeah, where you have every business now on I-10 requesting a variance to increase their signage?
Well, it is site specific, so they'd have to go through a similar process to this, and I'd do a similar analysis. It's doubtful. We don't have a lot of parcels that are in a similar circumstance. The fact that this is surrounded on 3 sides and it is fairly isolated, it kind of makes sense. But yeah, typically with variances, it doesn't open a floodgate just because it's so site specific.
And as you said, Benson and other
Wilcox.
towns allow it bigger area. So this actually is.
How could
the
it be
county
bigger?
system.
How could it be bigger?
Well, what is it, 200 square feet, you said?
Yeah, so it's not increasing the height. All the infrastructure is there. I'll go back a little. What he's requesting is, see on this one, that yellow part, the panel underneath. That does add additional area, and this, it's mostly the red panels that add the additional area.
It's definitely more signage. I mean, we're talking 848 square feet compared to the current 328, correct?
That's correct.
So, yeah, it almost triples in the signage area. But with that said, it's not increasing height or width, it's just adding in below is what I'm seeing?
Yes.
That's correct.
Oh, it's not increasing any height in it?
No.
No,
No,
the
it's
Chevron
using all
sign
the
is gonna be
infrastructure
at the
that's
top.
there. It's basically kind of infilling towards the bottom with additional panels.
Oh, okay.
So are you,
Well, at this time, if Mr. Everett wishes to speak.
yes, he's got 10 minutes to state his case. Mr. Everett?
Can I go ahead and speak, Brad?
Yes.
That's the applicant. Go ahead.
My name is Todd Haltom. I'm the owner of Texas Public Signs. The reason we're asking for the additional signage is they're trying to add a diesel canopy to bring in trucks. And-
One second, can you state your name and address?
My name is Todd Haltom. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm with Texas Public Signs, the owner.
Okay.
Pilot Flying J is basically leasing a diesel canopy for trucks, and they're trying to get a pricer on there that shows the price of the diesel without increasing the height. And the owner is adding some signage for current restaurants or food offerings that they have for truckers. And on the big sign, on the little sign, the 19 cabinet is there just for identification of 19 because they have an app the truckers are able to go onto and see the 19, and they get certain pricing for 19, locations for fuel. So they want to put their name there so it can be identified by trucks. We're trying to put it in a location that it's safe for big vehicles to exit without having to make any sudden moves. We do these all over the country for Pilot. So we're trying to utilize what's there, but we're also trying to get the diesel price displayed on the larger sign so it can be visible from I-10 in enough time for them to exit safely.
Okay. Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Are you?
I just wanted to make sure it was clear that we're adding it because they're adding diesel pumps for trucks. We're not expanding the auto or anything. We're just trying to make it suitable for trucks.
Okay. Well, I see nobody here. Is anybody online to support or rebut? Okay.
I support it.
Yes?
Just say so.
Yeah, that's Todd.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, we'll open it up to discussion. Do you have any questions or?
No, I mean, I think the question, and I understand it better now, the question I had was the increase in the signage, but I understand what they're doing. They're infilling the open area that's there.
Correct.
And I checked that out. I went down and checked it out, and I was worried if any other businesses in town would be affected. There's only one other business, and that's a jerky place at the other end of town, and there's a big jerky sign inside the convenience store. So it's not going to be undue competition for other businesses in Bowie. There are no other businesses in Bowie at this time. One.
That bar?
No, it's a jerky. It might be a bar. I didn't go in, but it's a jerky place. But I think he's right that it's going to give more visibility down the road. And I wondered what that 19 was. It says 19 net, but it's an internet.
It's 19 Network, which is a pricing app for Pilot Flying J. Yes, sir.
Yes. And that is the only business between New Mexico and Wilcox. So it gives them plenty of room to see, and there's virtually nothing around the company. But it's probably not, Mr. Everett, it's probably not your decision, but I would make a change in the sign. In the sign, the proposed sign, the second one down after the diesel price is Indian food. And I was expecting maybe Apache fry bed or Navajo tacos, and it's Bombay Indian food. Wife really liked it, but there's a restaurant inside that it is run by people from India. And I talked to another truck driver, and when we were in there were like 3 Bombay Indian truck drivers in there eating the food. So evidently it's a place to eat. And I talked to another truck driver over the road, and he said there's a lot of Indian truckers on the highway. So we need to differentiate because they're in Cochise County. They're at the foot of the Chiricahua Mountains. They're at the gateway to Apache Pass and Fort Bowie. And when you see the sign Indian food, you think you're going to get something from an Apache Indian.
A good point. We can modify that to be New American food or something like that. And be more specific.
Yeah, or food from India, something like that. But I would say otherwise it's false advertising in Cochise County. Any other discussion?
Not for me.
Okay. Well, we have a sample.
Sure. Staff recommends approval of the variance. Staff recommends it's the applicant's responsibility to obtain any additional permits, meet any additional conditions that may apply to the proposed use pursuant to federal, state, or local laws, regulations. Compliant with site visibility and lighting must be preserved to the satisfaction of the county and will be verified during permitting. That concludes my presentation. Again, I'm available for any questions, and the sample motion is on the slide.
Also, one question, what's conditional approval? I had a question on what the conditions are for this.
Basically, it's what I just read. It's subject to any additional permits. Yeah, that paragraph right there, the second one on the slide.
Okay.
We'll do an additional check that it meets our visibility and lighting requirements.
Okay. Any discussion?
I make a motion, we pass.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passed. You have your variance, Mr. Everett.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And again, the county will be getting a letter out to you, describing this that you can take to the other entities that need permitting. Okay.
All righty. Thank you. We'll correct that Indian food too. I get the point.
All right. Thank you.
Very
It
valid.
is. Okay. No, it's time for a report, a planning director's report, but I don't see the plan.
Yeah. Actually, we don't have any additional cases that are pending. I hope it's not another year until I see you guys again, but it's on an as-needed basis, and I thank you guys for coming tonight. I hope you like the new surroundings, and I appreciate you guys being here.
Good.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Anything happening with planning and zoning? I had one question. Last year, a couple years ago, they were planning another like truck stop at the east edge of Wilcox. Is that still in motion or dropped or?
The Loves,
any idea?
like the Loves truck stop by the existing.
No,
Just
this is at the very east edge by Stewart, Old Stewart Road exit.
There was like a master development plan with like a bunch of different elements.
Yeah.
It's on pause right now. We're looking for more information from the applicant.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that was one of the uses within a larger network.
Yeah, it was
stuff. It was a
big
lot.
parcel that
Yeah.
they wanted to really develop.
Yes.
I'm sure if the port expansion goes through and everything happens there, they'll be definitely pushing that through.
Yes. Okay,
That's all I got.
okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Let's go home.